Good day to everyone joining us, and welcome to today's X Talks webinar. Today's talk is entitled Getting Ready for an Audit, How Life Science Companies Can Prepare. My name is Aisha Rashid, and I will be your X Talks host for today. Today's webinar will run for approximately 60 minutes. This presentation includes a Q&A session with our speaker. This webinar is designed to be interactive, and webinars work best when you're involved. So please feel free to submit questions and comments for our speaker throughout the presentation using the questions chat box, and we'll try to attend to your questions during the Q&A session. This chat box is located in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. If you require any assistance, please contact me at any time by sending a message using this chat panel. We also have a handout available for this presentation. You can download it through the Handouts tab in your control panel. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. Please note that this event will be recorded and made available for streaming on xtalks.com. At this point, I'd like to thank Qualio and Panaceutics Nutrition who developed the content for this presentation. Founded in 2012, Qualio is the first cloud quality management software for all life science companies. Medical device and pharmaceutical companies need a secure and scalable quality management system with the flexibility to support their evolving needs. Qualio meets that challenge by cutting through the complexity to optimize and automate critical quality processes. The remote-first Qualio team is distributed across North America and Europe. Panaceutics Nutrition applies proprietary technology and science to produce customized nutritional products that can be personalized based on genetic and medical tests, preferences, or beliefs, then delivered direct to end consumers. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's event. Michael is an ambitious, influential, solution-focused Senior Director of Quality with experience in challenging R&D, process improvement, compliance, and internal auditing positions. As a creative leader, relationship manager, and problem solver, he is skilled in interpreting complex issues and delivering meaningful solutions to optimize compliance and risk mitigations. His experience lies in the areas of product R&D, continuous improvement, business development, strategic planning and analysis, and program and project management. And now, without further ado, I'd like to pass over the presentation to our speaker. Michael, you may begin when ready.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aisha, for that introduction. Welcome everyone to this webinar on getting ready for an audit, how life science companies can prepare. Again, today's agenda as follows. First, I'll start with what is audit readiness. Then we'll walk into planning for an audit, the core ingredients, which are people, which I like to refer to as the humans. We have process, and then we have data. Again, my name is Michael Aromeh. I'm the Senior Director of Quality, Continuous Improvement, and Safety here at Panaceutics Nutrition. You can also see my LinkedIn connect below. Qualio. We kind of touched on what Qualio is earlier. But if you don't know what Qualio is, it is the #1 cloud-based quality management system for life sciences companies. We like this system because it's easy to use, it's very scalable, and it's trusted globally. Here at Panaceutics Nutrition, we've been using Qualia for about 1.5 years now, and we have been very content with the system. It's very user-friendly, easy to navigate, easy to use the different templates. So it's been a good tool for us in just audit preparation and readiness in general. So how do we define audit readiness? Audit readiness is being comfortable and aware of what your auditor would ask and how you would respond. Audit readiness is not just anchored to the quality manager. It is an entire business has to get ready for an audit. As you can see from the donut chart on the right, during a July 2022 webinar, a poll was conducted where attendees were asked, what is your current level of audit readiness? You can see from the results, about 25% felt very prepared. And then you have the remaining 75% that were between somewhat prepared, not very prepared, and not started. It's important to know that audit readiness is in a spectrum, and different companies land in different part of that spectrum. The key takeaway from this result is that about 75% of people who responded to this poll are some stage where they could use tools or systems or information to get better, to be even very well prepared for audits. We now walk into our first poll questions.
That's right. We have a poll question for our audience members to interact with in real time, and I'm going to launch that right now. That poll question should be appearing on your screen at the moment. We do appreciate your participation, so you can vote on this question by clicking on any of the answers. Now, the question we have for you is, how would you rank your audit readiness on a scale of 1, being not at all ready, to 5, being completely ready? And the answer choices are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 1 through 5. Once again, that question is, how would you rank your audit readiness on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not at all ready and 5 being completely ready? So please take a moment to submit your vote for this question, and I will then close the poll and share the results with our audience. All right, I can see that the majority of you have voted. I'm just going to give you all just a couple of more seconds for some of the people that may not have submitted their vote just as yet, just to get their votes in, and I will share the results momentarily. All right, it looks like the majority of you have voted, so thank you very much for doing so. Now let's take a look at the results. So on a scale of 1 to 5, it seems that nobody voted for 1 or 2, and for 3, 45% of our audience voted for 3, while 18% said 4, and 36% said 5 in terms of their audit readiness. So thank you very much for your participation. Michael, it's back to you.
Thank you there, Aisha. Thanks everyone for completing that poll. And as you can see from the poll again, there is room for improvement and room for a lot of different companies out there to get ready and very prepared for audits. So some of the tools I'll cover today, some of the systems and information are good things that would help us be very prepared for audits. The next section here is planning for an audit, the core ingredients. In planning for an audit, the entire organization, your entire teams needs to be in sync, just like a symphony orchestra. An orchestra is a very great example of a high-performing team. And key questions as leaders that we should be asking are our employees in sync? Are they playing well together in harmony, or are there gaps to be filled? because it only takes one person playing out of harmony in an orchestra for the entire performance to be suboptimal. So you really want that efficiency, you want that high performance. And 5 key takeaways I really have from an orchestra that could be applied to audit teams and companies in general are, 1, focus. You want your team to be focused. Each member of the team needs to be aligned to know what the high priorities are. That needs to be known. Roles and responsibilities, just like in an orchestra, each person has to know their position. They have to know where they're playing. So a violin player during an orchestra can be beating the drums, and same thing, and same vice versa. Each person has to play their position for it to be a high performing team. The third thing is celebrating success. You need to establish different milestones to celebrate success. Fourth, relationships. Is very important to have effective relationships within an orchestra and an audit team. That way, it fosters individual and team performance. And finally, practice and rehearsals are very, very important. You have to have continuous practice and rehearsals because that's the only way you get better. You don't get better overnight. So every kind of, pre-audits and different things of those nature just makes you get better. So now I'm going to the 3 elements of an audit. The 3 elements, like I mentioned earlier, are people, data, and process. For people, people need to be trained. They need to be well trained. They need to understand what they're doing. Data, all data for an audit needs to be centralized in one location. That just helps efficiency. And then for processes, like I said earlier, you need to practice processes. You need to rehearse your different process. You need to walk your process and understand with different subject matter experts. And the important thing is, if any of these 3 elements are not there, your auditor would definitely pick on it. The auditor would be able to tell that something is lacking during an audit. So I would now walk into the first element, which is people. As leaders, we need to assemble our audit team. We need to have a strong team, which some of the team members there are. You need to assign an authorized escort, who is a point of contact who will escort the auditor during the audit. So that could be the quality director or a quality manager. And you need a scribe during audits. Someone that takes notes, records pertinent details during the audit, able to put some of the actions and different things that you can go and create actions for later. You need a runner, someone that can do a lot of the running around, bringing documents or different kind of records, cleaning records, or different things the auditor asks for. And then subject matter experts, that's definitely required. They're supposed to be the knowledgeable people in different specific processes within your organization. So all these different roles and responsibilities should be identified to create efficiency during an audit. Your subject matter experts should demonstrate expertise and understanding. They have to own their areas and make the right first impression. And then also, it's really important that they explain without a script. And the only way you do that is through practice, through continuous practice, a lot of pre-auditing. You get so comfortable, becomes second nature, where you can easily answer questions during an audit without using a script. It's really, really important to choose the right people as subject matter experts or on your audit team. Things you really need to be looking for people on your team are emotional intelligence is really important. They need to be confident, competent, and authentic. And then you don't choose people based on personality types, shy, abrasive, talkative. You don't want to select subject matter experts because they talk a lot and they're the loudest ones in the room, or you don't want to select someone that is really knowledgeable but they're shy and they don't say a lot. The rule of thumb is to select the person that's the most knowledgeable to be a subject matter expert. And then it's really important to remember that your auditor is just a human being like you and I. So to prepare for an audit, you need to understand your audit, who your auditor is. So on this slide, you can see two different types of personality types: a Type A auditor and a Type B auditor. You can see some of the characteristics there. Type A auditor, they want information fast, time sensitive. They want you to be on it. They're impatient, controlling of the entire audit process, incisive. And then you have a Type B personality that could be more relaxed, patient, collaborative, and friendly. So at the beginning of an audit, as the main point of contact or even a subject matter expert, you need to be able to identify what kind of character or personality type or audit character your auditor has early on. And then in order to build rapport with the auditor, you need to understand that and react accordingly. This is a skill that gets developed over time, but it's a very, very critical and important skill during an audit. It's really very important to be authentic. This slide kind of shows the different facets of being authentic. By authenticity, we mean competence is important. Business as usual. You're not like having a script for an audit. It should be imbued throughout your system over time. Openness during the audit, you got to be honest with the auditor and answer the question being asked. And then it's good to have good habits during audits. As you can see here, authenticity can be faked. So here on the left, you can see what a stage managed audit looks like. It's pretty much the quality manager still in the show. They're talking the whole time, not really giving time for it to show that as a team activity. And then when same sound bites keep on being repeated, it just makes the auditor know that maybe there was a script shared yesterday on things to tell the auditor and things not to tell the auditor. You don't want an atmosphere like that. It should be inbuilt in the system. It should be just as business as usual. And then you don't want a rigid or planned process. What you really want is an authentic process that shows shared participation. So each member of the team has their roles and responsibility. They chip in at different times. You have subject matter experts. The conversations are natural. Everyone feels comfortable during the audit. And then there's engagement from everyone as well. So that's kind of what you want to see during an audit, is just that authentic culture within an organization. It's very important to train. Training is a key part to being ready for an audit. You need to get a mechanism in place for training staff on new processes and confirming understanding. You need a mechanism to check for training completion rate for each and every process. And then also capturing feedback on each of those kind of training activity or assessment and making changes as you go. So here on the right, you can see Qualio is a good system. That's what we use for training. We create procedures, and then you use Qualio, create a training assessment, and then use that to assess your employees' knowledge on different things. And just based on those, I mean, most times you will have feedback on how good some of those training things are, how good the questions are, or the answers, and you iterate, make the necessary changes based on people's feedback, and then you can up-version the different documents with the right training questions or training answers. So yeah, having a good tool for training is critical as well, and also getting employees trained is critical. The next element of audit preparedness is process. Like I said earlier, process needs to be rehearsed and practiced, and you do that by performing pre-audits. So things to look at during a pre-audit. What do you do when you're doing a pre-audit? Here on the left, you can see quality data, so all kinds of KPIs, which are different by company. Whatever you have established as KPIs During a pre-audit, you want to assess those KPIs and see how they're trending, see how the team is using continuous improvement to get better on KPIs. Customer feedback is really important as well. What kind of customer complaints are your organizations getting, and how are you reacting to customer complaints? Product conformity issues, any kind of issues you have with the product, how are those addressed? Root cause determined, action items to prevent reoccurrence. You're looking at those things. You have trends of corrective actions. How good is the team at closing corrective actions? Supplier management. How are the suppliers tracked? How are they ranked? And then also past decisions in general. You want to make sure that some of the past decisions, especially from corrective actions or things that are positive, that they are being sustained, things of those nature. And the reason why we do all these different things during a pre-audit, as you can see on the right, is it does drive continuous improvement. It helps pinpoint operational issues within the company, which just makes your organization and your businesses better. Pre-audits help improve processes for efficiency, cut costs. They also help evaluating the effectiveness of your QMS system to see if any changes are needed or if it's sufficient enough. Pre-audits also helps, ensure your supply chain is solid and there are no gaps there. And then also just, helps track your goals, or helps you as an organization track towards your goals. So during performing a lot of pre-audit, there are different signs to show if your audit process is, if it's successful or if it needs a boost. So as you can see here, if you have from the left, if you have too many systems, you have paper system, you have a Dropbox system, you have OneDrive, email, using SharePoint, you have some kind of QMS system that is not very user-friendly, that nobody uses except the quality manager, things like that. Too many systems just create a lot of inefficiency. It makes you very slow during an audit to react to an auditor's question. You do not want that. Reoccurring findings, that is from pre-audit. You have a pre-audit today, and the next month you do another one, you're finding the same things over and over again. Just shows that there is no continuous improvement culture within your organization, and that the pre-audits are not driving any kind of continuous improvement. What you want to see is, from audit to audit, is that a lot of these things that are found are being closed, and you just keep on driving towards continuous improvement. Next thing here is data overload. Pre-audit with a lot of unactionable report, a lot of information that you can't draw action out of them is no good as well. And then if you have long internal audits, if your audit process is taking a long time, rest assured your external audit would even be harder to perform, because your processes are just disjointed or not very efficient, and that's never a good feel during an external audit. So you need to streamline your internal audits to be effective and efficient, and have systems that do that. The use of as is, which is a process analysis tool for your internal audit. This is a very good tool for driving improvement in your internal audits. So as you can see here, the as is pretty much how are your current processes executed, where are the areas of weakness, variation, what is working well and why. So this is where you access your current processes and what is good and what is bad. And the next one here, to be, you're thinking about the future state. As is the current state, to be is the future state. How can processes be improved? How can steps, system, and tasks be minimized? That's what you want to see in the future, and you want to drive that by your to-dos, which is the last one here. You want to drive your current state to your future state by writing SOPs, policies, instructions, creating all those things, training your staff, how well staff could be trained. So pretty much this is a good tool just to drive current processes, current system to future states, just for continuous improvement. So this is kind of what you do. And then on the to-do stage, during a pre-audit is where you create action items to close the gap from as is to be. So here is during a pre-audit, we're going to go through a couple of things. As an auditor, you want to, as you're walking through different processes, you want to make sure you involve in the subject matter experts of those processes. Like it says here, it's very important, like we said earlier, for subject matter experts to get practice, because you only get better by continuous practice. So SMEs have to be involved during your pre-audit so they get comfortable with that audit process. And during an external audit, they do not, they just feel very comfortable, and they feel natural and authentic when they answer auditors' questions. During pre-audits, it's important to audit processes and not functions. We really need to break away from the departmental focus and think more on the business level. As you can see here on the right, you need to audit processes and not functions, just like manufacturing and all of that. So processes such as product design and development, risk management, incident management, your documentation practice, customer feedback. So you're pretty much auditing processes and not the functions. It's important to audit across departments. That way you can see where, like the last point says here, our lines of communication broken at handoff points. You do not want that. You don't want a disjointed system or a lot of silos within your audit process. There needs to be synergy between each part of the process, and not maybe one department does really good with audits and the other one doesn't. You want a good synergy. So it's important to audit across departments and get a full picture that could be optimized. So here on this slide, different organizations have different quality management systems based on the size of your organization. You have different structure of how you as a leader structure your quality management system. And those quality management system have sub processes, and then those sub processes also have different sub steps in them. So for each of these sub processes, you need to be able to assign subject matter experts to different parts of your quality management sub processes, and then also audit those areas and audit those subject matter experts during your pre-audit to get them very comfortable in the process, and also to have an entire synergy within your entire quality management system. So all that needs to be audited just to drive continuous improvement. Also, during a pre-audit, it's important to bring leadership into your audit process. What the questions you should be asking are, your leadership team within your companies or within your business, are they involved in the pre-audit? And you can see here, do they inform everyone of the importance of audit readiness? Definitely you need to have buy-in from the top down. The senior management, senior leadership team need to understand and be part of that process. They also need to collectively, actively collect and respond to the feedback from the subject matter experts. So if the subject matter expert needs certain things to be audit ready, the senior management team needs to be on the same page. They also need to make themselves available for audits. It's very important that senior management be involved in the opening meeting or the closing meeting of audits, and just all throughout the process, just keep themselves available. Also, integrating the audit KPIs into your management reviews, that's important as well, to have those, so then the senior management team can also see how things are tracking and react accordingly. investing in system and tools to simplify the audit preparation. So yeah, you want your senior management team to, to be able to invest in tools just like Qualio. I know for us, that's one thing we invested in, and that came all the way up from the senior management team. A system that can be a good for data collection, like we said earlier, for data consolidation. So you have all your objective evidence for an audit in one place instead of having multiple systems. So yeah, senior management can help in that. And then also you want them to be able to encourage a culture where processes can be challenged and improved. So that's pretty much continuous improvement all around. Set constant audit readiness as a key operational goal. So yeah, so pretty much from the top down, senior management has the buy-in and they're part of the audit process, audit prep processes. That just helps an organization be a lot more robust. So the next section here is mid-audits. So this is pretty much during your external audit. You need to create an environment where the auditor is, comfortable, where you can be very effective with the time you have. So everything from, making sure Wi-Fi is available, making sure you have a private workspace for you and the auditor, or even a space for the auditor to be able to, work on things by themselves at certain points. Food and drinks, just to create efficiency, the breaks, you might have to provide food or drink. That just makes things go faster and with the audit, and faster is always a good thing. Shows that you're in control. During the audit also, it's important to learn how to react. So the first one here is communicating real-time development mid-audit to relevant personnel. It's really important to have some kind of, maybe group chat or a group text message or something during the audit, so you can easily communicate with different subject matter experts who need to be called in at different times. And also you want to, give them a heads up of, what the auditor is asking for, so there are no surprises. So that's really important. That communication piece during an audit is important. You have to plan to minimize catch-out moments, and by what that means is, any kind of findings you have from previous audits, major, minors, you have to have really good answers. You have to have prepared beforehand on how you react to things that can be brought from the past, or even opportunities for improvement. How did you address these? So those are important. If the auditor spots something that you haven't, you have to be honest. Again, honesty is key during the audits. Most auditors can sense when you're not being authentic. And also here, responding to the auditor's preferences in real time. The auditors really drive the process. You have to be really attentive to the auditor and react accordingly. If the auditor is fixating on one particular team or product or department, it's not right for you to try to, change the conversation or bring some other document to distract the auditor. You need to, zero in on what the auditor wants and provide the information. And if you don't have it, you have to be honest and explain where you are. So it's really important to let the auditor drive the conversation, but you just anticipate and you really in keen to what direction or what the auditor is currently digging into as well. And that pretty much brings us to the Goldilocks approach. You really want a balanced approach during an audit. That's really critical. You want it to be about right, just right in the middle, not too cold, not too hot. By too hot, we mean, small talk. After the first 5 minutes, the auditor arrives. If you're still doing small talk after 5 minutes, that's not productive. It just means you're just trying to, waste time or take away time from the audit process. So small talk after 5 minutes, that's not a good thing. Detailed explanation on documents and repeating contents, not good. Answering questions you weren't asked, that's not good either. And then by too cold, unhelpful answers, shiftiness, not elaborating when asked, you don't want that either. What you want is just right. You give the auditor the objective evidence they ask for, and then helpful extra information as needed. You just give them what is being asked. Next section here is post-audit. So right after the audit, a good response right after the audit is really critical for continuous improvement and continuous audit success. So you want to bring back together your audit team and ask questions on what went well and why, what can be improved on, how will you drive those improvements. And in doing that, you do need to consider using an electronic quality approach. What that is a digital system that can drive all the workflows around corrective actions from an audit. An EQMS system will be perfect for that. A system where you can enforce due dates and timelines to ensure you are ready for the next audit. You can assign actions to the right personnel. You can set system action reviewers to make sure findings have been properly closed out before the next audit. And then you can also build an audit trail that would show auditors when you completed each task. You can show the entire trail for full traceability of all CAPR actions from the audit. So I mean, a system like Qualio would do that. Really good EQMS system where you can set up quality events or some kind of events that would track corrective actions from audits, and you can pull that out at any time. Some other post-audit tips. You really have to treat the findings from an audit as a positive improvement opportunity and not just a slap in the wrist and not do anything about it. And then next thing here is don't waste time. So during the audit, like I said earlier, the scribe, you can have this person assigned as a scribe, taking notes, recording corrective actions and different things that that you need to embark upon to get better. One important thing to note is, though, do not overcommit with your CAPR process. You don't want to put things down that you know you cannot achieve. You have to be really realistic on corrective actions in order so you can get things taken care of before the due dates. The next element here of a successful audit is data. Again, for data, it's all about balance. In providing data to the auditor when they ask questions, you do not want an information overload. You don't want to just give them all kinds of information. If you're using paper, just dropping everything on the table, or if you're using an EQMS system, you don't want them seeing all the documents you have in that system. You want to have to streamline it and make it simple, easy to digest, easy to navigate. Information underload. On the other hand, you don't want to not have any information, or you can't locate what the auditor is asking you for, or you're taking hours looking for documents in a cabinet when the auditor asks for it. That's not good, because faster response to auditors' questions, faster response to providing data to the auditor just shows that your company and your organization or the audit team is in control, and that's what you want. Here you can see a couple of quotes here just to show snappiness and fast responses. You can see here on the left a quote by Anna, Quality Assurance Supervisor at Casimira. She said, our auditor was really impressed and thought it'd take much longer to retrieve the information they asked for during the audit. Most auditors aren't happy if you have to go off for 30+ minutes to look for things. You really want to be fast. It shows control. You really want to be organized. The auditors can tell for sure. The next one here in the middle from Karen Hugh. Within 30 minutes of an inspector ringing our doorbell, they should be sitting in our boardroom reviewing the first set of documents. That just shows efficiency, shows an organization that really knows what they're doing. Then here you can see a good story here on the last one, here on the right by Amy Anderson. Our auditor let us know she was really unhappy with how we were managing everything. It took us a long time to get documents she wanted. It took 6 days, but now we have Qualio, and it's take us half a day to provide that information. That's a successful, good story there. They're able to learn from their mistakes. They're able to get a system that could consolidate all the objective data for an audit, and that just shows a big improvement there in efficiency. So yeah, like I mentioned, building a core of objective evidence for an audit. You really need a mechanism for controlling, reviewing, and distributing SOPs, quality manuals, objectives, different things. You need a solid centralized mechanism for controlling all of that information that would be reviewed during an audit. Also, don't forget the basics. Embed Alcoa Plus and good documentation practices to spare any blushes mid-audit. So you need to use those tools, and then also ensure information can be quickly exported and shared as required from your EQMS system. So you need efficiencies there as well. Document request during an audit. You need to know what format has been requested from your auditor before they arrive, how they want to see the information. And also, is your auditor happy accessing your EQMS system if you have one? If the auditor is good with accessing your EQMS system, and these are some of the things you can do ahead of time. If here on the left, you can prepare a document ahead of time for an external audit with different links to requested documents. That just makes everything be in one place, makes it really, really easy to go through the documents and show the auditor objective evidence. You also might want to create a quick training sheet or a quick training video that would aid the auditor in navigating your QMS system. So that would be beneficial as well, and I'm sure the auditor would really, really like that. And here on this slide, yeah, this shows a really good example from Qualio of a sheet that has everything, links to documents that the auditor has requested for ahead of time. You can see really organized with the description, the external inspector's name, and then you can see different kind of manuals, SOPs that the auditor would review. So this is a good tool here. That just would help the audit process be a lot more effective. So make the view simple. So simple is always good, and digestible. So you want to keep things simple. So like we saw earlier with Qualio system, you can use a tagging system that could help you kind of organize your library of documents in Qualio. So yeah, so if your EQMS has one of this, that's a good thing to use. And then yeah, you have to break documents into what you want the auditor to see based on what they requested. Complexity is not what you're trying to do. You don't want to show the auditor you have all these SOPs or a lot of different documents. You want to keep it simple to what was requested. So that's kind of what you want to see there. So yeah, on that regards, you can see here on the left, you have the library in Qualio of different SOPs, quality records, quality manuals, different things of that nature. Imagine you going through an audit and you have to show an auditor all these different information. The one on the left has about 31 documents, and then the one on the right here, you can see that a tag was used called auditor. So you can use tags to tag documents that you want to review during an audit, and that just creates a more simple look to review. Or if the auditor has access to quality, they can review it, kind of go through this. Or if you're sharing it in a conference room, you can do it the same way as well. But using tags is a good thing during an audit. So yeah, at this point, I think I've come towards the end of the presentation here. We went through the 3 elements of audit readiness to get you all prepared for your next audit. We'll now go into the survey.
That's right. So we have a quality professional salary survey that you can all participate in, and I'm going to drop the link to that survey in the chat box. So please direct your attention to that. And this survey is basically to gauge how your paycheck stacks up, and it's a very short 3-minute survey, which is completely anonymous, and you'll also be able to receive the completed report as well. So please take a look at that link and complete the survey. So we really appreciate your participation for that. All right, now I think we are ready to head into the Q&A. So let's get right into that. Michael, so are you ready to head right into the Q&A?
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so let me join you here for that. So audience members, please feel free to continue submitting your questions for the Q&A, and we will try to attend to your questions during this session. So I've already received some questions, and I'm going to begin with those. So the first question that I have here is, people often behave differently when observed. How can I prevent panic and keep the culture authentic when the auditor arrives?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think for that to keep authenticity during an audit, that just goes with what we talked about earlier on practice. The more practice you have with pre-audits and things of that nature, going through those motions just makes it a lot easier during an audit. In terms of panic and all those things, all those nerves go away the more you practice a lot of pre-audits before an external audit. So for that, the answer to that question is definitely rehearsal, practice, and just getting that in the drinking water of your organization would help in the long run.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that answer. Let's take a look at another question that we have here. And that question is, do auditors follow the same or similar pathways through businesses? And is it possible to predict where they'll begin and end their audits?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. A little bit difficult to answer. I think most auditors follow would usually have different auditors have different paths they follow, and I would say auditors are probably going to be doing following different paths during several different audits. So I would say for that answer, it's just important that as auditees that we just be very familiar with the regulatory requirements. We don't need to worry about the paths auditors take and things of that nature. As long as you're well prepared, you'll be able to kind of roll with the punches and react accordingly with good preparation. So in terms of how the auditor works the processes, I don't think it's something we should be worried about. I think just being prepared pretty much solves that problem. But on the other hand, if you do have the same auditor audit you a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years consecutively, some auditors might have a system or a process in which they audit. So I mean that just comes with you being, building rapport with the auditor by being observant. So that's what I'll say there. Good question.
Yeah, definitely. I think here is another good question as well. And this person's asking, how do I know the right amount of information to prepare for an auditor so I'm not overwhelming them or offering too little?
Yeah, so that's the same thing, the balanced approach there in terms of what you offer the auditor. Yeah, so for on that question, what you really want to do is before the audit, I know different audits sometimes have like a checklist or different things that gets covered during the audit. You want to go through that checklist document really well and make sure you have objective evidence on each of those questions on that checklist, audit prep checklist that the auditor provided or a regulatory body provides. Using those kind of things would give you pretty much 90% there. using those sort of tools.
Great. Let's look at another question. So this question is asking, people don't like being audited. So how can I sell lots of practice audits internally and get senior managers involved?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's a good one as well. So on that piece, you really want to stress the importance of audits and how audits really drive continuous improvement within the organization and takes the organization to the next level. You want to stress that with employees within the organization and also senior management as well. So yeah, I think on the other hand, you want to have pre-audits that also deliver continuous improvement and good results over and over again. And with successful results like that, I think you would have buy-in from the employees and senior management, because you can easily just see that the audit process is driving changes within the organization. So it pretty much comes to how you set the narrative within the company, and then also how efficient and effective your pre-audit processes are in driving the changes that you want to see.
Makes sense. All right, so that actually brings us to the end of our question and answer session and to the end of the webinar. So I'd like to thank our speaker once again for that very insightful presentation and that great Q&A session as well. If we couldn't attend to your questions, the team at Qualio and Panaceutics Nutrition may follow up with you. Or if you have any further questions, you can also direct them to the email addresses displayed on your screen of our speaker, Michael Aromeh. I'd like to thank everyone for participating in today's webinar. You will be receiving a follow-up email from X-Talks with access to the recorded archive for this event. In addition, a survey window will be popping up on your screen. Your participation is appreciated as it will help us to improve our webinars. Now, I'm about to send you a link in your chat box where you will be able to view the recording for this webinar. And you can also share this link with your colleagues when they register for the recording here as well. So I do encourage you to do so. Now, please join us once again in thanking today's speaker, Michael Aromeh. We hope you found this webinar informative on behalf of the team here at X-Talks. Thank you for joining us. Please take care and bye for now.